So we're here. It's the Power Tour. We're in Atlanta. Of course, we're at the home of Sweet Food Lounge, and we're with the owner, Tory Thomas. We just want to have a candid conversation with you about the hospitality industry and coming from New York to Atlanta and doing just some great things, both not only down, I believe we're almost right outside of downtown, but Tory, just go ahead and tell our listeners and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what brought you from New York all the way down to Atlanta to get into the hospitality industry.
Sheesh. Well, there was a pit stop. I went to college in Virginia, and I wound up throwing parties out there. Had a great time. 90s were awesome. Did really well out there. Graduated. Wound up opening up my own bar out there. A little small spot held about maybe 200 people, and I just took my lumps there. I learned a lot about the industry. I already knew how to get people in the building. My biggest challenge was learning the restaurant side and the back of the house side. But luckily, like I said, at the time, in my past, I'd done every job in a restaurant. I was a busser, I was a dishwasher, I was a server, and so I learned. I knew a lot about the front of the house and the hospitality side from that. And so I just learned to convey that to, my front of the house staff. And the rest, I learned, and also had to learn the back of the house on my own. And so the rest was history. The great thing about it is since I got into the industry from throwing parties and, dabbling in the music industry, I had a lot of ties. So the great thing about that place up there was, it was called D. Frazier's. And the great thing about that place up there was you never knew who was going to come through. Like whether it was Jeezy or Pusha or Pharrell or Diddy came through, you know what I mean? I had a lot of relationships, and so I did good business with people in the past, and so that carried on into when I opened up my own venue.
Yeah. That's some good stuff. Now, of course, a lot of people want to open up their own bar one day. A lot of people want to open up their own restaurant. You kind of did both, and you got space for a concert venue. You got space for a hookah lounge. You kind of got everything all in one place down here in Atlanta. So tell us a little bit more about what it really takes to get into the industry. I know it doesn't happen overnight, like you just explained. You need to kind of work every job to understand all the different dynamics. But when it comes to the financial investment, a lot of people think, okay, I can just get a liquor license, or I can just get a kitchen cleared by the city. It's a little bit more complicated than that.
Sure.
How much do they really, or what are some of the things that they need to be mindful of when they get into the business outside of the actual maybe overhead? It's some miscellaneous and intangible expenses that they're probably going to come across.
You're absolutely right. And I do a lot of consulting work for just, a lot of friends, and I don't really charge people, you know what I mean? Because I want to see people win. I want to see people be successful. And typically 3 out of every 4 restaurants fail. And you know what I mean? I don't like to see people fail, man. But the number one thing that you have to have is funding. Luckily, my brother was great. My brother Terry was great at figuring out how to get the funding to open everything up. And basically what we did was we got an SBA loan. You know what I mean? We found a favorable lease and actually bought everything from that person. And so basically we bought somebody out, you know what I mean? And that helped out a whole lot. That's like half the battle. But what I don't think people really realize is that you have to have at least 6 months working capital, you know what I mean? Because your first year is like hit or miss. Like we didn't make any money our first year. We were barely paying the bills, you know what I mean? So like if we didn't have that 6 month reserve, to dig into for those slow months, you know what I mean, we'd have really been in trouble. But I always tell people, like, it's one thing to get open. There's another thing to have the working capital, you know what I mean, to make sure to withstand those slow months. Because, like I said, wintertime can be tough, you know what I mean, especially if you're living in especially open up in an area that doesn't get as much tourism, you know what I mean? You don't get that many just walk-ups. You're really going to have at least 6 months working capital. You also have to, like, create your own vision. It's more than just opening up the doors, having a grass wall, selling lamb chops and hookah. You have to like figure out what your lane is going to be, you know what I mean, and stay in that lane. Like I always knew like I can't afford to book talent all the time, you know what I mean. So that wasn't going to be our lane. our lane was going to be creating an experience that people are going to remember forever. You know what I mean? And because we take this stuff serious. You got people celebrating that 21st birthday with you, the 25th, 30th, 50th birthday with you. They could be celebrating an anniversary. You know what I mean? Like, I want to always wanted to create an experience that people are going to be like, yo, I did my 25th there, I did my 30th there, and I had a great time. Because those are things that people are going to remember and talk about for the rest of their life, And once that, word of mouth is like, you got social media, obviously, and, emails and all of that stuff. But word of mouth is always going to be like your best form of advertisement. People take other people's words really serious. Like, I had a great time there, I'm going to go there. If you go to Atlanta, you got to go there. So that's the lane that we decided to create. And it was just a fusion of entertainment, live music, great food, great service. You know what I mean? We never took any of that stuff for granted. And that's how I think we survived when, where other people actually didn't make it through.
No, that's a great point. Making sure that you're memorable, making sure that repeat customer and customer retention is at the highest level of priority. And what's one of those mentors or one of those? I know you talked about resources. The SBA loan kind of helped you get in the game, and those that had to be years ago, 10 years ago, before they start making TikTok and Instagram videos about how to get a loan and things like that. You were doing it 10 years ago, and so what's one of those mentors that kind of, and where were they at in life when they guided you to that SBA, or was there another mentor that kind of helped you out?
Well, like I said, when I was throwing parties for a while, and so I studied the greats. Like, I studied Alex. He's the GOAT, to be honest with you. Mark Barnes up in DC. You know what I mean? Like, I've talked to these guys, you know what I mean, and find out, you know what I mean, exactly what made them tick. And I studied them from a distance, you know what I mean? And luckily, you know what I mean, Michael Gittawan was out here, you know what I mean? A lot of these people showed me, gave me some jewels that, that are priceless, and I just held on to them forever. Wow. But you have to know some, you know what I mean? You can't just hop into this game and think have all the answers. So there's no matter how many parties I threw, how many, how successful my restaurant was in Virginia, I had to figure out how Atlanta works. You with me?
No.
So that's what I had to do. So I just, like I said, I studied these guys, man. You have to have some sort of mentorship, and take it from there.
Is there anything in the future, any other businesses, any other ventures that we might have missed? We know that Sweet Food and Lounge in Atlanta, right here across from the aquarium, is one of the staple locations that you gotta hit when you get to Atlanta. But is there anything else that you got your hands in that
sure.
you might be able to give our listeners some insight about?
Sure. Well, we still have Revel, which is like a club. Revel is like something like out of Miami. It's an amazing concept. You know what I mean? We've had people come through there from Lizzo to everybody. I mean, everybody's come to Revel at least one time. You know what I mean? 50, Lizzo, trying to think of so many other people. We just had Coco Jones, you know what I mean, 2023. So like I said, we, Revel's a whole different situation, but it's really more so like a club situation. As far as I go, what we're going to start doing is opening up the Hookah Lounge right here inside Suite. That's going to be called Moshi. What else are we going to do? We're going to be doing everyday brunch. I love Houston. I love the movement they have out there. And so we're gonna. I realize like brunch is it, not just on Saturday and Sunday. We have a couple of great spots out here. Toast is great. Shout out to our brother Virgil. They're doing great. Brunch is where it's at. 2023, brunch is almost like the new nightlife. You with me? So we're probably gonna be doing brunch daily. You know what I mean? Probably Tuesday through Sunday. Yeah. And outside of that, I've got a couple of film projects that I'm working on.
Wow.
Atlanta's the hub, when it comes to film right now. So I'm just, I eventually plan on cashing in some of those favors, and getting into the film industry. Hopefully I have 2 projects done before the end of the year.
Wow. Well, Tory, we're definitely going to be back to do some more interviewing in the future. We're going to make sure that we keep up with all your projects. We just thank you for joining us on the Power Tour, and we just wanted to share your story because we heard so much about you and all the things that you're doing here at Sweet Lounge and otherwise. So we appreciate you for just taking the time to speak with us, and we look forward to seeing some great things in the future.
Thank you.